I came back from Bangladesh with
Mm.
a half full suitcase and $500 to my name, and I'd lost my 2 children. You can do the mindset work all day long, to be happy, but dear God, like if you don't have the physical building blocks within you,
Yeah.
this is going to
Yeah.
be really tough. After having struggled for 4 years to run a marathon, I ran my first marathon, and then I ran my first 50-miler.
When you look back in hindsight, everything is 2020. In hindsight, we make mistakes, we're learning from it. In hindsight, shaping yesterday and your tomorrow. In hindsight, it's so much clearer now.
What happens when you feel something is wrong with your body, but your doctor tells you everything's normal? Imagine reclaiming your health and vitality after years of struggle. Today's guest, Lauren Callahan, is a gut health expert. I don't know how to say Reiki, but is a Reiki master, ultra runner, Ironman athlete, and owner of Goddess Health. With her unique approach to women's wellness, Lauren helps women in midlife who have been told everything's fine transform their health and regain energy, balance, and strength. Welcome to Hindsight. I'm Lee Jones, your host. How you doing this morning, Lauren? Let's get to it.
I'm good. Thank you. What a beautiful intro.
Well, you have such a beautiful intro to talk about. Some amazing things. You're out there helping young ladies to reclaim their vitality and reclaim their energy. And the gut is a big, gut buster in your vitality, right? No pun intended. Actually, pun intended. So, where are you calling in from today?
Louisiana.
Louisiana. How's the weather out there? I know it's raining over there in Florida. Oh, it was anyway.
Yeah, I know. I was actually just talking with somebody from Florida yesterday. You just never know year to year. I mean, hurricanes are so unpredictable. You never know where they will end up. I'm thankful to say that here it is a beautiful day. It's finally not 1,000 degrees anymore. So,
I can relate. Oh my Lord, it feels pretty good in here today in the studio. It's been times where I'm just in here feeling miserable, trying to have this fan blowing on me and just not doing enough. So it looks like we're getting in that change of season where it's not too hot. It's ready to go out and play. Anyway, we'll get off of that because that's not what we're here to talk about. So, can you tell us? I gave you gave me a compliment, but I gave you a pretty decent intro. Give me a thumbs up. Can you expand on it and tell us just a little bit more about you and how you became who you are today? But in doing so, this is hindsight. So we like to know some of those nuances and maybe some of those challenges that you had to face on your journey.
Sure. Knowing that, I'll give the backstory.
All right.
Yeah. So, in 2014, I came back from Bangladesh with a half full suitcase and $500 to my name, and I'd lost my 2 children. So to say that I was building my life from the ground up is quite the understatement. Yeah. I'll quickly fast forward and let you know that I did get my children back about half a year later. It was the messiest, ugliest divorce ever. And I'm happy to say that at this point, it took a couple of years, but my ex-husband and I, we actually have a very beautiful co-parenting relationship. And so it's really quite lovely. But at the time, it was about as horrible and messy as you could possibly get.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Building my life from the ground up, scrambling to, get a job, do anything that I could to get my children back. So it was really, I was living in poverty for truly the first time in my life. And I very much was living in a poverty mindset as well, a scarcity mindset that I carried with me for a while.
Yeah.
And so it took a lot of healing, a lot of journey to get through that mindset. And in that process, at one point I did go back to school to get my master's in therapy. And what that meant was that I was sitting all day long.
Yeah. I can relate.
Yeah. So this is not going to work for me long term, right? So I got up and I started walking / jogging about a mile a day. And I did a little bit of yoga. And I really like to point that out because, when we fast forward and I tell people that I'm running ultras, I've done Ironmans, one of the first things I hear is, I could never do that. I could barely run a mile. And what I want people to know is that it was not that long ago where that was the same exact story for me.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so I would say the moment that progressed, and this is, Lee, this is one of those stories that some of your listeners are going to say, "Oh, that's so beautiful," and other listeners are going to be like, "Gag me now." I met my husband. So he walked into the coffee shop where I had a second job.
Yeah.
And I found out that he was training for his first half marathon because his daughter, now my stepdaughter, is a St. Jude patient, and so he was going to do the St. Jude's half marathon. And I thought, well, he's really cute. I'm going to run with him.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, so that really is how it started. That was how my running journey got started.
So, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
You just start off like, and I left Bangladesh. Like, what were you doing in Bangladesh?
Yeah, okay, good question. Yeah, so I was teaching English, but
Okay.
the honest to God truth of that was that I was running away from my ex-husband and living a
Got
life
you.
that I had always thought that I wanted. I truly always envisioned myself being in a developing nation and living as one of them, and that is what I did. And in combination with leaving my husband, circumstances, it's strange. You talk about coincidences. I ran into a family that happened to live in Bangladesh. I met them in Canada. It was really crazy coincidence. They were like, "Come stay with us for a month." I mean, it happened that way. It was really insane. So yeah, and in that process, certainly a huge breakdown maybe in a lot of personal beliefs, experiences, life goals. All of it completely got broken down, which was a good thing.
Okay, so can you share an important lesson that you learned early on in life that still influences you today, the decisions that you make today?
It's hard to pick out a lesson maybe that I learned early on in life.
Okay.
And because I definitely come from a trauma background. And so, I avoided that, ran from it, tried to do it over, all the things that people who've gone through trauma do for most of my life. So I'm 43 now, and I would say it wasn't until I was close to 40 when I'd come back from Bangladesh, when I was in a relationship now with, the man who's now my husband. There's nothing that will bring up all of the things within you that you need to deal with, like being in a healthy relationship. And so, so in that healing process, I would say when you ask me, what did I learn early on? I took many beautiful things from my childhood. I'm not saying that I didn't. I don't regret anything. I'm thankful for my experience. But I would say that actually the bigger question was what I was unlearning. I had a lot to unlearn from childhood.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Okay. So what is something that you had to unlearn? One thing, really quick.
I can't.
You can't. And I know you flipped it to I can, or how
That's
can
right.
I? Or yeah. I love it.
Absolutely. I can. Yeah. And I would say that the biggest moment that really stood out for me was fast forward when I ran my first 50-mile ultra. I ran 50 miles through the woods. The first 35 were by myself.
Did she say 50? Okay, go ahead.
Yes.
All right.
The last 15, my husband joined me. I'd say 2 miles. When I was at about mile 48, completely broke down. I'm pretty sure you saved me from sudden death. And then I got to finish it. And I walked out of the woods. And there's self-talk. There's positive self-talk. I can do anything. Right. Okay. There's that. This was not that. I walked out of the woods and I felt to the core of my being for the first time in my life, I can do anything.
You know what? I think the longest that I've run was 8 miles. And I didn't think I could do 8 miles because I was in the Army, and
Mhm.
we used to do Christmas runs, right? And I was in Hawaii, so we would run through town,
Yeah.
and we would run in formation, and there's people on the side and they're cheering you on, and the part of, that motivation gives you that extra plus you're in the military, so you got to. So anyway, that was my motivation. But I was
Yeah.
like, that 8 miles was not bad at all. But 50. I know
You
you
know,
said you started to doing like 1 mile a day and
mhm.
you built up your tolerance. Briefly, what led you to start doing these? And you said your husband now, right? Because of his daughter, he was
Yes.
practicing for a half marathon. But was the feel from finishing that help motivate you to want to do more and more?
Yeah, I would say there were a lot of factors. Certainly, the more I was doing it, the more
Mm-hmm.
I felt, wow, look what I can do. And considering that, when I grew up, the thing that was prized most about me, the thing that was okay, like there are a lot of things just about my existence that were not okay. That's part of that trauma background.
Okay.
But what was okay was that I did well in school. And so I
Mm.
did really well in school. And so once
Mm-hmm.
again, here we have a lifetime of me just sitting at a desk using my brain, right? So
Yeah.
to get up and start running, it was like, wow, look what I can do physically, and this feels wonderful.
Right.
I didn't pick up a barbell until I was 40 years old, and I had
Mm.
no idea how non-scary a barbell can be, right? And
Yeah.
there was
Yeah.
nothing, I mean, we're talking about running, but that barbell, there's nothing like picking up a barbell for the first time at 40 years old and saying, whoa,
It
I'm a
feels weird.
strong person. Yeah, I mean, there's just nothing that can just make you feel so good in that kind of
Yeah.
way about
Mm.
yourself. And so it became an addiction, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd say a good addiction, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
certainly, yeah, I mean, you can take that in different directions. And I did. Okay, I'm not saying that 100% of it was healthy, but yeah, running, lifting, right? Yeah, I came to love it, and I loved how I felt, right? So I continued with it. And my husband was doing this too. So yes, this was a part of our relationship building that we were doing this together.
Beautiful.
So there was definitely that element of, why not just do more and more? This is really great. We're taking our kids along. We have a lot of kids together.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
We're dragging our kids to runs and everything. I mean, so we're building a family, right? So it felt
Yeah.
great. Um,
Yeah. So I hear you say you, and this is just a joke, so don't take it. I hear you say you guys are doing this together, but what I heard was 50 miles, and then the last 15 miles, he joined you.
Oh, let me tell you. Okay. That was because like my husband is a beast. He actually, man, he has done so many crazy things. He's run a couple 100-mile runs. He's done some other ones that are 70 plus through the
Oh
mountains.
my goodness.
He's an absolute beast. So I got to tell you about that because so he joined me for the last 15, but here's the thing. He had worked all day long while I was
Mm.
running, and he does
Mm.
very physical work most of the time. He owns a construction business, so he's back
Okay.
and forth, but hard work all day long. He gets off of work, puts on his running shoes, brings me chicken and cheese tortillas and hot tea and a new pair of shoes and socks like he's just a trail angel.
Yeah.
And he gets on the trail with me,
Yeah.
me through the night, right? Paces me through the night. And then in the morning, when I get done, I go to bed. He goes back to work.
My man.
I know. He's too good.
I,
Speaks a lot to the power of having a partner, a spouse who is with you, who supports you, right? So,
yeah. I tell you what, I need to learn some lessons from him. So he's my hero. He's my hero now. Just let him
I'll have
know.
him on for marital advice.
Hey, so I how did you first discover the importance of gut health, and what was the turning point for you? Now, when I sit and I think about, before you go, when I sit and I think about you doing all these runs, like, you really need to have your stomach in order. But
Mhm.
I'm sure that's not the first discovery of the importance of it. So go, take it away.
Well, actually, so this was one of the reasons that I kind of started off by bringing up running, because running was the thing that got me in this place of saying, wow, gut health, there's really something to this. So the thing was, I kind of described to you all the, wonderful experiences of running. But in the middle of that, there was really about a 4-year period where I kept trying to run a marathon. Like, this was my goal, to run a marathon, and I couldn't do it. Every time I went out to do it, I failed in some way. And I use that word fail in quotes, right? I mean, we know we learn from failure. But it was really quite frustrating for 4 years, to keep failing when I'm healthy, I'm training, I'm eating good food. I really am. Why am I struggling so much? And it usually boiled down to like inflammation and repetitive injuries and things like that. And so I've thrown my running shoes across the room so many times. Then I get, this marketing email basically about gut health. And, I started doing some research, right? Gut health is related to everything. Your gut is your second brain. Athletes that improve their gut health, they have less injury, less missed training days due to sickness or inflammation or injury. And I'm thinking, oh yeah. So you're telling me that improving my gut is going to help these problems I'm having with my knee, right? Like the inflammation, all that. But I mean, I'm like, that's really good marketing. But the question that I kept coming back to is, okay, I eat really healthy, but what if my gut is not healthy enough to receive the good things that I'm giving it, receive and process it? And Lee, that's one of the best questions that I ever could have asked. So I went down this rabbit hole, basically. I did what now I do first for all of my clients. I tested my gut health. So I can know exactly what I'm working with. And Lee, I got an F. Like, if you could put a grade to this, I had an F. They didn't give me an F. And Lauren Callahan does not make an F and just be okay with it.
Yeah, you were good at school. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. So I get this laser focus of improving my gut health. And now I know what to do, right? Like, now I know what I'm working with. Now I have the tools. Now I know what to do. I bring all my clients through the same exact process. And I improve my gut health. And so here's the thing. Within 6 months, that was kind of that laser focus time. I mean, you're always, doing the things to keep your gut healthy, but that was really the period of like healing my gut.
Okay.
After having struggled for 4 years to run a marathon, I ran my first marathon. And then I ran my first 50 miler that we just talked about. And then I went on to do my first Ironman. And then I did another 50 miler. And then I did another Ironman. And then I did 100K. So that's 62 miles. And I did all of that within 1 year. And so, yes, at this point, I'm saying, wow, okay, there's really something to this gut health. But But here's the thing, Lee, like, and this is where things really changed for me on a professional level. Okay. So certainly that was really cool. Okay, I'm hitting all these athletic goals, right? I'm just blowing it out of the water. But in that process of healing my gut and getting better at running, I'm having so many days where I think, wait, oh my God, I'm sleeping again. And I hadn't realized that was a problem. Like, you just kind of slip into, things being normal, right? And you've gone to the doctor and they tell you everything's normal, your blood work's normal, everything's fine. And I'm, I'm just taking it, right? Then I have another day and I think, oh my God, I don't have the anxiety that I used to.
Wow.
And you remember, like, childhood trauma, right? Like, this is my background. I'm trying to heal from it, right? And now all of a sudden I don't have the anxiety. I'm happier. Wow. And I'm sleeping. And okay, so woman in midlife here, all right, this is, I don't know what woman in midlife that you talk to that won't say this if they haven't worked on their gut. The bloating, oh my God, the bloating and digestive issues that I was having, I didn't have them anymore. They were just gone. And again, it was one of those things you just come to accept as normal, right? And then I realized it wasn't and didn't have to be. Also, I didn't really get sick anymore. Like, I rarely got sick. And I used to get sick all the time, especially of allergies and asthma. I mean, we were looking at upper respiratory infections. Yes. Okay. So we can talk about health. Yes.
My nose. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a problem. Right. And so we were looking at steroids and antibiotics, all the time because of this. And now I just wasn't getting sick. So now I'm really saying, whoa, there's something to this. But here's the thing that really did it for me. When I first checked my gut health, I saw that my serotonin was really low. Now, here's the thing. I was a therapist, and I was always familiar with serotonin as a neurotransmitter that is associated with your mood. Like if you go to the doctor and you're like, I'm depressed, like here's this thing that, here's this medication that affects your serotonin, right? So it's a neurotransmitter. But the thing is, it's also a gut metabolite. And little known fact, 90% of your body's serotonin is actually produced in your gut.
Oh,
and so,
wow.
Yes. And so here I am, a therapist. I'm helping people every day with their mood.
Yeah.
To figure it out for myself. And then I'm looking on paper and seeing my serotonin is really low. Like this is a major uphill battle for me, like physiologically, to have a good mood because this is what's happening in my gut. And so over that 6 month time period, when I, worked on healing my gut, I retested it. I could feel the difference, but then I could also see it on paper when I retested my gut, and my serotonin got back to normal. And this was just through healing my gut. And I could feel the difference. I'm happier. I'm sleeping, all the things. And so here's what happened. I'm a therapist, and I've got woman after woman after woman coming into my office and telling me the same things that I've been experiencing. They're coming for therapy, like they're having something going on with depression or anxiety. And then they're like, oh yeah, and I can't sleep. Oh, and I'm sick. And oh, I have no energy. And I'm like, can we, I just want to be like, can we test your gut? See what's going on here. This could actually probably be a lot easier than we think it is.
Hey, so Lauren, look, you said you're sleeping, less anxiety. Was it serotonin?
Yes. Yeah.
I said that all these levels. You gave me some examples. You gave me a great, I don't know what you want to call it, but what is your definition? I'm trying to come up with some stuff right now. That's me. What is your definition of true wellness? And how does, and you explained it just now, but how does gut health play into that? True definition of wellness. Oh, I'm sorry. Your definition of true wellness. How does gut health play? And then the final to tack on at the end, because I need to know this. How do you test your gut?
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay. So the definition of wellness, I wish I could put this really into words in a really great way, but I think what I just want to say is that it's everything. Like wellness is your mental health, it's your physical health, it's your emotional health, it's your spiritual health, it's your financial health, it's your relational wealth. I mean, it's everything. If one of those things, it's your social health, right? If one of those things is off, it affects everything else. It really does. We're human beings. Yeah. We're multifaceted. You don't just, experience maybe a pain or an illness or an emotional funk or something and just get, a medication, for example, or one little fix that takes care of everything. We're just not that way. We're human beings. Like we have so many beautiful sides to us, and you have to address all of them, which is why, you can't expect to, blaze through your day and have high performance, but not sleep. Right? Like
exactly.
Eat crap and, be, the best that you can be, at your job or in your relationship or with your kids. Like, it just doesn't happen that way. We're not robots. So wellness, however we put that into a nice definition, it's wellness in all of the areas of our multifaceted human being kind of selves. Right. Now, the gut, how is it related to that? I said a minute ago, like the gut is related to everything. It's your second brain, right? That's what scientists are calling it. And there's a really good reason for that. And we've hinted at that already. I talk about your gut, certainly we assume that is going to be related to your digestive health. But, here we are, we're talking about how serotonin is produced in your gut. Well, that's related to your emotional health as well.
That's crazy.
You can do the mindset work all day long, to be happy. But dear God, like if you don't have the physical building blocks within you, this is going to be really tough. What about sleep? If you have trouble sleeping, we don't automatically think, oh, let's heal your gut. Well, here's the thing, like actually, let's break this down. If you have a healthy gut microbiome, then you eat, for example, a chicken thigh, it breaks down into tryptophan, which is an essential amino acid, which further breaks down into serotonin. And then serotonin breaks down into melatonin. So those little gummies you're going to buy, right? Like if you're having trouble going to sleep, your body knows how to do that.
I just wrote down chicken thigh. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, whole food proteins. We'll keep it there a little more general, but yeah, whole food proteins. So now you got melatonin, so now you can sleep, right? So now your day is a much brighter day because you have actually slept at night, right? But then, let's keep on with serotonin there. Serotonin is actually hugely responsible for initiating digestion. So if you don't have that in your gut, which by the way, antidepressants mess up this entire process. Okay. So we're not saying go get on an antidepressant, right? That's not this discussion. It actually takes the serotonin out of your gut, moves it to your brain, totally changes things. Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a problem actually.
Okay.
So now if you don't have the serotonin, now you're having trouble digesting your food, right? So now we're in that place of, bloating and all the digestive issues that can happen. But then let's keep going, right? Like 70% of your body's immunity is actually housed in your gut. So now if you're not digesting things properly, or maybe 70%. You're a little bit stressed, so you get a little tear in your gut, which is really easy to do. The lining of your gut is only one cell thick, right?
Yeah.
Now you're sick, right? So, we're over here saying, oh my God, we need to get a shot for this, or we need to, use these protective measures to not get sick. Well, also, if we take care of our gut, you actually are hugely fortified against getting sick. It touches everything, like your gut health touches everything.
Wow. All right. That's amazing. You gave me a lot.
Hey, you guys got to get tested. I want to make sure I answer that.
Oh, yeah. That's it. That's it.
Okay. So there are different ways to do it. I will say that. The way that I use, so with my clients, like when I personally started this journey, I used a company called Excella, and it was such a positive experience for me, that I continued that with my clients. So the people that I work with, I use Excella to test their gut, to find out exactly what's going on. And we have the tools to move forward, and to make your gut healthy.
All right. So you use a company called Excella. Is this a service or something that normal primary care providers aren't able or aren't capable or just don't offer that?
They're capable of using companies like this and partnering with companies like this. I'm not like a medical provider, and I partner with them, right? But medical providers can partner with them. So yes, they can. But interestingly, I have talked with different physicians who really care about this and really want to, get this for themselves, get this for their clients. And they've never offered this. They've never had this. They're not familiar. I mean, so in my book, Powerful, Not Tired, I go a lot more into depth about gut health, and I talk about this. And I talked with a physician recently, and she said, I went to a doctor and they were, testing all kinds of things. Right. And she thought that one of the things that they were doing was not that just she thought, but they were doing some testing around her gut. But because she's a physician, she's really looking at, okay, what did they test? What did they test? And then she looked at what I test, and she said, they didn't test any of this. Right. So it's available. It is. And yet I think it's just so new. Let me bring in this too. It's so new. This is holistic health, right? This is preventative health. This is, this is wellness, right? As opposed to just treating symptoms. I talked with a cardiologist recently who's getting back into running, and he was like, oh my God, when you start training for a marathon, this is so different. You have to eat properly. He said, I'm a doctor and I don't know anything about this. Yeah. He said, when I went to med school, I didn't take a single course in nutrition. He's a cardiologist.
I've heard this before. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I mean, so, is to, I guess, hearing that, like to expect that you would go to your doctor and automatically have stuff like this covered, right? Like looking at your gut health. At this point in time, it's not a realistic expectation.
Okay. I appreciate that. All right. So we're going to talk about powerful, not tired in a little bit. But what is the goddess first approach and how does it help women heal and thrive?
Oh, beautiful. Okay. So the goddess first principle. Let me ask you this first. Have you ever heard of the book Profit First?
I have not.
Okay, so it's written by a guy named Mike, something that I can't pronounce. Okay, his last name's I
Okay.
can tell you that.
Profit first.
So he wrote this book, Profit First. So I'm going to derail for just a minute, but it's a really good, it's a good segue into where this came from.
Okay.
The goddess first principle. So, okay, so in Mike's book, Profit First, what he said is if I asked you as a business owner, what is profit? You would likely say something like your income minus your expenses equals whatever you have left over is your profit, right? This is profit. And hearing this, what I realized is that, men do this too, but I'm going to speak a little bit specifically to women. Okay. Because women, like we do this hands down. We do this. We look at our self-care, our self-love in the same kind of way, where we start off with, whatever energy and time that we have for the day, minus what we have to give to everybody and everything else, all of our duties and responsibilities. Again, I know that men do this too. It's different, right? It's just a different.
It's different. I agree. Yeah. I agree.
And whatever is left over it equals whatever we have left over is for us and for our self-love and self-care. The thing is, this doesn't work. We know this. Like we're human beings. We are in need of love and nurturing. Okay. It's why you can put an orphan in, a home that is like pristine and clean, but babies don't ever get held, and compare them to orphans that are in, these orphanages where they get held. Maybe it's not so clean, but they get held and loved. They are the ones that thrive. And that's because we're human beings and we need love, right? If we don't give it to ourselves, we expect it from other people. We get bitter, resentful. It's terrible. Okay. So what Mike said in his book is that if a business is going to be profitable, we have to change that formula to our income minus what we put toward our profit first equals whatever we have left over is what we put toward everything else. Now, here's my disclaimer. I haven't actually read Mike's book. Okay. I just spent a little time with one of his coaches, and so I'm familiar with it. But
Okay.
he says it works. Go read the book. That's the end of my knowledge there. But in hearing this, once again, I realized this is what we as women in particular need. We need to flip that formula if we are going to be well, like if we're going to achieve that wellness that we just talked about. You have to flip it to your time and energy that you start with minus what you put toward your self-care first equals whatever you have left over for everything else, your responsibilities, your to-dos for other people and all that. Now, my caveat here, obviously I'm not advocating that we neglect our children. Okay. But the reason I can say this is two things. One is that we all intuitively know what our self-care looks like. It's different. Mine does not look like yours, right? Mine doesn't look like the chick's next to me. Like she wants to go get her nails done. I don't. I want to go to the woods and hang out.
Right.
Different for everybody. Some people are extroverts. Some people are introverts. Like that social, time, it's different, right? We all intuitively know what we need. But the second thing is this. What I've learned and what my clients have shown hands down over and over again is that when you flip the formula this way, it is no longer a subtraction equation. It's addition. It is the time and energy that you start with plus what you put toward your self-care equals now you truly have exponentially more energy and time. I don't know how it works, but it does to devote to everything else and the people that you love and your career and your family and the things that you want to devote your energy and time to.
Right. I like it. I'm trying to figure out because you pointed at specifically at women and I agree with you. There is a difference. And so I look around and I'm thinking, how can I incorporate that? How can I get my mindset? You talked about mindset earlier. How can I shift my mindset a little bit to look at profit, profit first formula in a way where it benefits all involved. So myself, you feel what I'm saying, right? All
Yeah,
right.
for
So
sure. Yeah. You have to, again, as men and women, we intuitively know what it means to make it a
yeah.
priority to love and care for ourselves in a way that allows us to have exponentially more energy for the people and activities around us that are important.
And I'll articulate that a little better now. I got my words together. So for me, I know using gut health. Hearing you talk about gut health, hearing you talking about the importance of it, I knew coming in, we I'm gonna put this out there, everybody. We made this agreement in a short time to
Yeah.
have this interview. And the reason why I said we're good, I can't wait to talk to you, is because I really wanted to hear what you had to say about gut health.
Mm.
Because gut health is something that I struggle with. And if you look at most men over 40, right, that's when we start to have issues. And some of it is just, sightliness or, whatever. But a lot of it is what's going on inside.
Mhm.
So you talked about bloating earlier, and I experienced bloating. I experienced not feeling well and feeling a little off, and all of these different things, right? And I really believe that I could benefit from a better understanding of how the gut works. And that's why I wanted to talk to you today. And you've given me some things that I never really considered,
Mhm.
because being in the army, they just teach us, hey, do some sit-ups, right? Do some crunches
Okay.
and get strong, right? But then I talk about
Yeah.
how it really works, for your whole entire body. So that was what I was trying to say when I went in with the whole, yeah, you directed this towards women. I was just really looking and expecting and anticipating and a little anxious to have a conversation with you. And with all of that being said, if I was a person, and I am right now, so
That's good.
don't so don't assume that I am. I actually am asking you this question. What are like three core things that I should be mindful of when it comes to gut health? Well, just three things. And I know you got a whole list because your knowledge is extensive, and I appreciate you giving it to me. But I want to simplify it just a little bit. You know how you worked on that 1 mile. I want to work on these 3 steps, something that I can implement immediately.
So I like to look at gut health in three broad categories. So I'll
Okay.
highlight each category and bring out something specific in each one that you can do. How's that?
I love it. I love it.
Okay. So when you want to improve your gut health, you have to consider that, first of all, we are all affected drastically by modern living. Okay. So maybe, I hear all the time, like 400 years ago, was there like a whole gluten-free thing? Like, maybe not, but we also did not have highly processed foods. We didn't have regular access to antibiotics. We didn't have a culture that kind of gives us a disconnect between us and nature, which, by the way, there's gut bacteria that you can only get from putting your hands in dirt. Okay. Like, you literally have to touch grass for this
Yeah.
particular gut bacteria. Okay.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
we didn't have these things hundreds of years ago. So, in essence, modern living, it's great, but it also brings wear and tear and damage to our gut. So you can eat like all the healthy things, but there really is usually an element of like needing to do a little extra to heal your gut. So
Okay.
so then this would be the first thing around gut health is focusing on healing your gut and giving it some extra, like beyond healthy foods, to heal your gut. This is usually where some supplementation comes in. I have some supplements that are kind of my go-tos for my clients, and some of them are recommended specifically based on their gut health tests.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that you would like a specific recommendation, the one that I would recommend right now is bovine colostrum. It is really, really, it does a really great work for healing the gut. And it more than the gut microbiome, it also works for the respiratory microbiome. So there you go with your allergies, right? So bovine colostrum, the one I prefer is Armra, ARMRA. Yeah. Um,
ARMRA.
yes. Yeah.
ARMRA. Okay.
That's right. Yeah. And I can give you a link if that's helpful to put in the show notes. But this is something that just works toward healing damage that has been in the gut. So that would be the first thing, healing the gut. The second one would be doing the daily nutritional things that support a healthy gut. Now I'm going to say this and it's going to be like, yeah, that is so obvious, but I'm going to say it anyway. Eat whole foods. So I want to break that down a little bit. I mean, that's as simple as it gets, eat whole foods. But and let me add this word, eat balanced whole foods. Now let me break down why I say that. Okay, so for example, you talked about like in the Army, it'd just be like, do sit-ups and you're strong, right? Well, some other messages that we get, and this is like men and women alike, have those protein powders and, protein bars, right? Like load up on the protein. And I'm not saying that those are necessarily bad, but actually your gut doesn't really like it that much. And for a lot of people, it can lead to bloating and digestive issues. And then that just keeps compounding. And it keeps your body actually from absorbing the essential amino acids from the proteins in the way that you'd want it to, right? Like your body would much rather have a chicken thigh than it would a protein powder shake. So that takes a little bit more planning, right? To cook some chicken thighs maybe at the beginning of the week. So you bring that for after your workout as opposed to a powder, right? But your body loves that. And, I brought up balance because, I think, for example, women in particular, I think these days are more aware that we generally don't get enough protein. Like this isn't usually as much of a problem with men as it is with women. And so we eat a lot of protein and a lot of protein powders, and then we're not eating carbs and fat is bad because no, your body needs all that. Your body needs healthy fats. It needs carbs, especially carbs that are coming from high fiber foods like fruits and vegetables. Okay. And it wants whole food proteins. So bringing it back around, the more that you can stay away from something that's like highly processed, that's in a package, that is protein in a powder form, where you look at it and you're like, what is this that I'm eating anyway? Stay away from that. Yeah. Eat balanced whole foods. So that would be number 2.
That is hard. Okay.
Yeah, I know it sounds simple, and that is hard, and that's that's why some of these simple things, like I'll work with somebody for 4 months, and that's what we're working on, right? It's like how to make that a reality in your life. Okay. So the third thing I would say is there's this whole group of things that are supportive of your gut that have nothing to do with your nutrition. Okay. So remember, we talked a minute ago about how gut health is related to everything. Well, we can look at that backwards and say everything is related to gut health. Okay. So, so for example, stress in your life, or maybe you're not getting enough sleep. That is related to gut health, right? Like, the sleep and gut health thing, it's totally, it's cyclical. What's the word for that? If your gut health is poor, it affects your sleep. If you have bad sleep, it affects your gut health. That's a tricky one to remember. But all that to say, all of those things do affect your gut, getting enough sleep, not being stressed. So the third point that I would pull out of that is that you cannot just keep blazing through your life and say, suck it up, buttercup. Like sometimes you just have to be stressed and blaze through. It will catch up to you and it will compound in your gut. So this is where we bring in that goddess first principle, right? Or God first, if you're a man, right? Yeah. You've got to take care of yourself, and you've got to actively do the things that reduce unnecessary stress in your life to help improve your life.
I love it.
Right,
Thank you.
The tangibles.
That whole food is the hard part, but once we get beyond that, I think it'll be good. And because sometimes you just want easy, right? And you just pop something in the microwave and you're good. You're nourished. Maybe not healthy nourished or healthfully. Anyway, you're nourished. I'm not hungry no more, right? But now my stomach hurts.
Yeah, I know. You make it it can feel complicated, and I encourage people all the time, just make this as simple as possible, right? You
Oh,
can
that's my
grab a
goal.
handful of cherry tomatoes and have it
Yeah,
with a chunk of cheese or something, right? And
I love it.
yeah, and maybe that's not for everybody. Not everybody loves that. Like I love it as a snack, but not everybody loves that, right? But that's actually really simple, right? It's very
Yeah.
simple, and you have now healthfully nourished yourself as opposed to the
All
can
right.
microwave.
I need to get away from that. That's my go-to. Hey, so did I pronounce, is it Reiki?
Reiki, Reiki.
Reiki. So
Yes.
how does Reiki complement your work on gut health and help in the healing process?
Yeah. So this was a very
And
surprising. Go ahead. Sorry.
and the more important thing, what is Reiki?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So for sure. Yeah, Reiki was quite a surprise addition for me in my practice. Like once I moved into this holistic health space and started working with people on their gut, I just began practicing Reiki for myself and was amazed at how it actually continued the work of gut health. So Reiki is an energy healing practice. It is
Mm-hmm.
simply using energy to heal a person and balance on all levels, so physical, mental, emotional, right? It's traditionally done in person. That's how most people are familiar with it, like using your hands to channel Reiki energy.
Okay.
But little known fact is that you can actually do it from a distance. And this is how I first received Reiki. And it was very powerful and very effective. And I was amazed. I had all my doubts going into it. And then experienced it and was blown away at the different
Okay.
levels that it impacted me. And so continue to practice it. So especially initially how this impacted me. Remember, like I have a history of dealing with depression and
Yeah.
anxiety. It got a lot
Right.
better with improving my gut health. But then once I started practicing Reiki, I had no idea the amount of freedom that I could have from depression and anxiety. The thing about Reiki is that it heals and balances on all levels, and it allows your body and mind to process and release whatever energy you don't need, whatever is not for your
Wow.
highest good. And not just energy, toxins, beliefs, emotions. It affects people in a million different ways, right? And so for me, it did allow me to just release without even trying. Like, again, remember, I was a
Wow.
therapist. We did a lot of work. We did work to like heal. And Reiki is as simple as like receiving it, just receiving it. That's it. Like it's the most anticlimactic kind of session you you ever experience, and we can talk about what it looks like, but you just receive it. And so to not have to work for that, to truly just receive this gift of having the ability to process and release emotions
Yeah.
and beliefs and just energies that did not serve my highest good was wonderful. But then on a physical level too, some people experience maybe relief from like acute pain or chronic illness. I actually experienced both. And then on top of that, this was the thing that really blew me away. So, because we're talking about gut health, you have to remember I've done a lot of work to improve my gut, got my gut to a really good place. We're doing really good.
Oh,
I, for like a year, never had a single gastrointestinal issue. Nothing. And this was not the case before, okay? Before I improved my gut health. I improved my gut health. Now, I mean, I had no idea how good this could really be, right? But then
yeah.
I practiced Reiki. I had this first Reiki session,
Same
and
here.
I won't go into details here, but I went to the bathroom and I had what was basically equating to a gastrointestinal detox. And I thought, well, what am I detoxing from? I don't even know. And that's the thing, you don't have to know. But it was very
Yeah.
clear that my body was able to process and release physical toxins in a way that it had not been able to before. And so it's
Mm.
just another way of getting rid of things in your body and in your mind that aren't serving your highest good. So, once I experienced that, I thought, wow, this is an amazing continuation of this whole gut health thing, with your, obviously the gastrointestinal health, but as we know, it's related to everything, right? The stress,
Yeah. Yeah.
all of the things, right? So this was a beautiful addition. Um, and I mentioned a minute ago, what does an actual Reiki session look like? I mean, if I'm doing
Yeah.
a distance Reiki session with you, I mean, again, there are zero bells and whistles to this. Like
Mm-hmm.
you show up, there's not even Zoom. we just decide on a time. Like, Lee, you say, okay, 8 o'clock on Monday morning. And I say, okay, great. And then at 8 o'clock on a Monday morning, you just go find a comfortable place in your home to sit or to lay down, and you relax and set an intention to receive Reiki. And you set a timer on your phone for 30 minutes. And when your timer goes off, you're done. And I'm just on the other side where I am.
Yeah.
You don't see me or anything. And I'm doing Reiki. And it's that simple. And everyone experiences it differently.
Oh, wow. All right, I'm gonna look that up. I got Reiki look up. Okay.
Awesome.
So I gotta figure out how to experience this. Hey, so I know 50% of the people are saying, "Hey, Lee, ask the question about what does she mean, detox?" And the other 50% are like, "Let's move on." So I'm gonna move on because I'm on that side of the 50%, right? Hey, but you said you wrote a book. All right, so let's talk about the book. And that was Powerful, Not Tired. What inspired you to write Powerful, Not Tired?
So, and I'll throw in, actually I have two books. The first one is Couch to 50 Miles. And so this has a lot of story.
You know what that was about.
Yeah. And a lot of it, we've kind of hit the high points, but that one started off with the intention of let's talk training and nutrition and all these things. And it became the story, and it became my healing journey through healing from childhood trauma and discovering the I can and, discovering all these different ways of healing, including gut health. So it's an inspiring story for sure. The second book, Powerful, Not Tired, emerged after I came into this holistic health space. And I heard from woman after woman after woman, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. I have no energy. I've been to the doctor. They say everything's normal and everything's not normal. What do I do? Right? Yeah, so that's where this came from. And so this book goes into depth about the things that we've talked about today, about gut health, about Reiki. Yeah. So there you go. There's a resource in learning more about Reiki, Lee.
Okay.
And then I also talk about the Goddess First principle. So I talk about those three things and how they are important to our overall wellness. And what I do want to throw in is, so I go into depth, right? Like you asked me about, what are three tangible things you could do for your gut health? I go into a lot more depth about what you can do for your gut health. I go into more depth about what Reiki actually looks like and how this brings healing in your life. I go more into depth about the Goddess First principle. And what I do want to throw in as well is that an up and coming project that I'm working on right now is a workbook on how you can do Reiki on yourself. So Reiki is something that is done through someone who has been through a process of being attuned. You're attuned to Reiki energy. Okay. And I'm coming out with a workbook that basically allows you to do Reiki as often as you want, like I do.
Yeah.
Good resource for sure.
I love it. Hey, so I've asked you a lot of questions. I'll ask you a few. And maybe I missed a question or a topic that you'd like to talk about. Is there a topic that we haven't covered today that you're passionate about and you would like to discuss it?
I'd say one thing that I get a little passionate about, or a lot of passion about, and we touched on it, is this whole thing about antidepressants. And I say that, we touched a little bit on how an antidepressant changes the production of serotonin in your body and moves it from your gut to your brain. And I bring this up because, again, I was a therapist, and I've seen person after person kind of come to this moment of saying, especially in midlife, okay, where they're saying, I don't know what's going on with me. Everything is different, right? Like I'm not the way I used to be, and I'm crying for no reason. And what's going on? Maybe I just need to get on medication for this. And so this is not a discussion saying that you shouldn't get on medication. I'm not saying that, but I want people to be informed that this really does create a lot of complications when we're looking at your overall gut health and your overall wellness, because gut is related to everything. And the other thing is, you mentioned men over 40, things happen. Yeah. Women over 40, things happen, right? Your hormones are changing, in women, it has a lot to do with your estrogen and progesterone. and how that is produced in your body. And so this is why we get to a point where like, what just happened to me?
Yeah.
Why are things so different? And what I want women to know is that you don't have to struggle. And maybe you do decide to get on some kind of medication. But for the women that, and men who are thinking, I don't know that that's what I want to do. And I want to see, have I tried everything, right? Before I try that medication, have I tried everything that I can to not go on it, right? And that is what I want people to know, that there is hope in that space, right? That you can improve your gut health, you can practice Reiki, you can take care of yourself, self-love, right? That those things actually help to bring you to a place where you may not need that medication at all. And I've seen that happen with my clients, right? I've seen my clients come off of medications that they were on because of putting it into practice.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear that a lot as well. A lot of the holistic approaches, holistic mentality, holistic medicine is geared towards actually addressing the root cause of things instead of addressing the symptoms. And go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that's why I love gut health and Reiki in particular, because they do it in different ways, but they're both healing modalities that go to the source.
And then you also gave the disclaimer, look, I'm not saying don't listen to the medical, people,
for sure.
Definitely take that, but consider this as well. And you'd probably be pleasantly surprised at the results.
For sure.
So,
the best physicians, and I know so many of them, they're really wonderful. They're the ones that, are very upfront with, actually, like, I don't know anything about this gut health, or I never took a class in nutrition, or, holistic health is really important to me. I want to, add this to what I'm doing. Right. Or, they care. Right. And they're also upfront that they're doctors, but it doesn't mean they know everything. Right. Like, I don't know everything. You don't know everything. Doctors also don't know everything. Right. We assume great. But we can't expect them to know everything. And so we have to do a little bit to, really look holistically at the source when it comes to our health, and not just put that in somebody else's hands. I mean, that's really too much to put on somebody else, even if they are a physician.
I love it. All right. So get informed. One, get with Lauren. She can tell you some stuff about how to get informed. And to be fair, I said primary care. Typically my primary care, if there is something outside of what they understand, they will refer me to a specialist. So I just want to put that out there as well. But how can the listeners connect with you and learn more about your work?
Sure. So for folks who are going straight to like, oh my God, I need to do something about my gut, you can go to my website, laurenbcallahan.com. Let's go, Lee.
Yes. I'll be there.
Absolutely. Yeah, go check it out, laurenbcallahan.com. And then, so I do basically a gut health consultation where I take you on a process and get you going on a path to heal your gut. And also, you can just check out my book, Powerful Not Tired. That's on Amazon.
Okay. Do you do any social media? You don't seem like you have time practicing for 50 milers and your husband's doing 1,000-mile runs. Do you do any social media? Because you would think, when you're out in this environment, like this is so inspirational and powerful to capture some of these moments and give some inspirational quotes. So can we find you anywhere on Instagram, anything like that?
Yes, you can. I am on Instagram, Lauren B. Callahan. But I would also say, Lee, that you're absolutely right. So I am by nature an introvert that loves to hang out in the woods. So there's a part of my soul that is not super happy with bringing my phone just to take pictures or videos.
I love it. I love it.
So I am on Instagram, and I am a little bit active. I'm not super active, but you can find me there for sure. You can get the high points.
So let's just go to our website and you can get some real help and inspiration there. Hey, Lauren, thank you for sharing your profound insights into gut health, healing, and wellness. Your journey from survival to thriving is truly inspiring. And I know our listeners gained a wealth of knowledge on how to reclaim their energy and their health. And to the audience, make sure you subscribe to Hindsight the Podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. Stay tuned for more inspiring stories and insights like this amazing interview with Lauren. And don't forget to pick up that book. I'll talk to you later. Thank you. Hey, thanks for joining me here on Hindsight the Podcast. I'm your host, Lee Jones. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know I did. And while I have you here, why don't you take your mouse, go over and click on that subscribe button? No, not right there. Over to the right. No, down, right there. Boom. Thank you. Now, thank you for subscribing to Hindsight the Podcast. I'm your host, Lee Jones.